I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we'll do roll call because one of our compatriots is, there she is. So, Ms. Siegel, are you here?
I'm here.
Mr. Meyer?
Here.
Ms. Andujar?
Here.
Ms. Reddy?
Here.
Mr. Chamberlain?
Here.
Mr. Gibbons?
Yeah.
Mr. Bennett?
Here.
Ms. Smith? Okay, we're appropriate. So, I would like a motion on the minutes of the let me think. Mr. Norton is not here.
No.
He has another gig. We can use that word in polite company. Mimi,
Motion to accept the minutes.
thank you.
Second.
Any corrections, deletions, or addition? Hearing none, we'll ask for a vote. Ms. Siegel,
Yes.
Mr. Meyer.
Yep.
Ms. Andujar.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Debbie.
Yes.
Terry. Paul.
Yep.
Steve. Karen, yes, great. Parks usage request. Who are these people? Seriously, they come out every year. We cannot get rid of them. I don't understand. So the Great Barrington Land Conservancy would like to do some summer volunteer work. I'm just teasing her. She knows it. Saturday, May 6th from 9:30 to 11:30 to clean the outside of the garbage and recycling containers and repaint the tops of the picnic tables. The 20th from 9:30 to 11:30 for litter cleanup, mulching of trees and shrubs, beach area, and planting of annuals. June 10th from 9:30 to 11:30 for litter cleanup, clearing limbs, and invasive removal. And Saturday, July 8th from 9:30 to 11:30 to pre-register group size limit to 10 to search for fern species.
So moved.
Any questions, concerns, or issues from the committee?
We taking up the August 27th one too?
No, it's separate.
Separate, okay.
It's separated.
You got this one?
I'm waiting for a second.
Second.
Good. Ms. Ward, do you have anything you'd like to add to my succinct?
Well, I'd just like to say this, follows of, as you were applying a series of many work days at the lake, probably over 20.
Mhm.
And I have always connected with the DPW, because we get support for, pickup of litter and branches and things like that. And we try to help you as well. I'm noticing that there's a pile of mulch that we would be happy to mulch trees and shrubs with, and I wonder if that would be something that you would.
That's about the Lake Mansfield.
Yeah. Does that work out for you
Yeah.
guys? So we could do it in one of the early days.
Mhm.
And I also wanted to touch base about the grooming, the regrading that we had talked about.
So,
You did the regrading and seeding,
yesterday.
oh, wow,
You don't usually get anything by Christine.
that's amazing.
Ms. Ward, you
I
missed
didn't
some.
walk and say I missed two things. I missed the graffiti and I missed the.
One was good, one is
Where's the graffiti?
That's amazing.
on the beach.
Oh,
On the web? On the beach.
And reported on in the Berkshire Eagle.
In the sand, it's not hard to remove, but it's really,
Wasn't that wonderful?
yeah, but it's really offensive.
Painted?
I believe it
What
is.
is?
I don't know, if you don't know about it.
I didn't know this first I heard it.
all right. Kindergarten, one at a time. Mr. Aberdale, you were not aware of such issue? I would like to indicate to you that I think you should have known about it. Somebody should have told you, whether it be the police or somebody. You didn't see it. You saw it. How did you find out about it?
There's an article in the Eagle, plus I was notified early on.
Article in the Eagle.
That's
Yeah.
how I found it.
There were 3 police officers at the lake this morning, that one of our neighbors.
So there was a man
that-
there, according to the article, there was a man there whose name I do not recall, but it's in the article, I think. Heather Bello reported, and he just went there for his usual morning, solitude and,
Tim Garzon.
okay, and noticed and reported. So,
Good.
yeah,
Okay.
so I don't know if it was raked out or, I don't know if.
I don't know, but I'll check it.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Okay.
So when you regraded, did you reseed?
Yep, and mulched it.
Did you, fence off the reseeding? Do we need to be careful not to be on that stage?
Well, it's pretty obvious where it is. It's got hay mulch on it right now.
Okay, excellent. Because we're also starting up our yoga programs and,
You want to get it established before you walk up the
yeah,
stairs.
absolutely.
We cleaned up the park too.
Yeah, when you say the park, you mean what?
The beach area and the whole park was, we blew it all out.
Yeah, I
picked up
saw
the
them
things.
doing that
We
earlier.
took down 3 dead trees.
That's
Wow.
right.
We still have to take the stumps out. The sign when you're driving, say south,
Yes,
has been tipped over 2 days in a row. I
yes,
don't know if it's the wind or whatever, but we're
Yes.
gonna anchor that back down.
okay. Fantastic.
Okay, wonderful,
The other
thank you.
side of the crosswalk, the parking lot side, there's quite a lip there, we're gonna fill that in.
That's great.
Good.
So
Anything else, Christine?
I think that's it. Could I be in touch with you? Touch with you about our work days and let you know when there's stuff to do.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, or issues from the commission? All those in favor of these many wonderful volunteer workdays coordinated by our dear friend Christine, signify by saying aye.
Bye.
I am. Aye.
Aye.
Alana? Aye. Ellen? Julie? Sir Devin?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
You, Banyo, Karen, it's a unanimous. Okay, now from the 27th, from 3 to 6, the Conservancy wants to do a fundraiser at the beach featuring live bluegrass and food. Are there any permits that need to be done with that?
So, this is our first opportunity to do this kind of an event, and that's why we're approaching you so early, so we can get your feedback and guidance in making it a successful event. The hosts are Great Barrington Land Conservancy board members. And it's Kate Ritter Rodlin, Kate Rodlin and her husband Brad. They also help steward the Lake Mansfield Forest and they live on the other side. And Kate is a member of a bluegrass band. So they're bringing music.
Great.
It's a family event and planned that way. They wanted to touch base with you, Bill,
Yes.
about logistics, because you did that great event with Swim America.
Yeah.
And one of the things they'd like to have is a food truck. So I think we will need to inquire about Board of Health.
I think the food truck gets the
to
permit.
get their
Right.
permit. That's
Right.
okay.
Yeah, and then I would just talk to Amy or Carmen in the town manager's office for an entertainment license.
Okay,
And to ask us
An
questions.
entertainment license.
Yeah,
Okay.
and do you need, are
In
you?
front of the select. You're not
So that's what Brad and Kate are exploring. They don't want to serve alcohol.
good.
But how do we feel if someone brings alcohol? Like, is there guidelines for that?
If you're not serving it or selling it and somebody brings,
Yeah,
what are you gonna do? Have
No,
the
yeah.
bottle police?
I would, yeah, because they need to have someone there who's tip certified.
Yeah, you don't wanna serve alcohol.
I
we
think
don't
either,
want to serve alcohol.
no, but I think having people bring it,
Yeah,
talk to Amy, she would be the one to know, I think
Okay.
that's, and they open a can of worms.
okay,
Or a
So
can of
that's-
booze?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the things that we're really aware of are parking, and we're gonna be looking at how to make sure that we don't overfill the space. There'll be a lot of incentive to walk or paddle to the event.
Bike.
And Bike, it'll be kind of a,
Alternative transport.
yeah, which has been our whole mission for so very long.
I know that.
I know. So, it's really exciting. And then the fundraiser is for the work of the Land Conservancy.
Good.
Which is Riverwalk and Riverfront and all of many of the walking trails and we've
I'll take a motion.
Well, after the motion, I got a question.
Okay,
Motion.
And I'll second.
good. What's your question, Paul?
What about people who were there? I mean,
They're
because there's an
welcome.
admission.
Yes, they're welcome. So we will invite people to participate. We will not send people away. So.
Good.
So we're not being asked to close the beach.
No,
I mean,
so if they're there, they're part of our community,
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a donation-based fundraiser,
Right.
so people can
Or
pick in
cannot?
what they can, and if they cannot, then they cannot. And they're
Yeah,
part of
because,
the community.
I mean, the only reason I asked is there's admission fee, yes, and so I
Yes.
was wondering what that meant.
Yeah, okay, so, thank you. I think we should be clear about that. So there'll be a suggested donation, it's not required.
Gotcha. Just like we do out back.
For mine, it says no.
It's that.
Oh, that's the work piece. Okay.
Yeah, I think we promoted the coming up by alternative transportation. That was great.
Well, yeah, I think
That
that's the
was- That
smart
was a
move.
major. I like that it's 3 to 6,
So many
Yeah.
things like both.
you know, because.
Kind of in the quiet.
Paddle over.
Well, that's when it's a nice day, especially if it's Sunday.
True story.
You know, if it's a nice day, you're gonna have a lot of people there already. So I think that, like, if there was an issue why we wouldn't do that again,
Yeah,
it's because of the traffic.
okay. Do
Yeah.
you think there's any opportunity to connect with parking space at Simon's Rock?
Well, we tried to do that, and sure,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
we
we
could
can
try,
talk
we could try to
about
work that out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, there, the truck was parked, we changed the location of where it was parked so that turning around, but we wouldn't use large vehicles.
We could talk more
Okay.
detail about that, but that food truck did a bang up job, and it was great having it right there.
Yeah.
It was really good having it
Yeah.
right there. It was, the food truck was right in the parking, so. we-
Okay,
we can talk more.
let's vote on this and yes, Ms. Siegel, what would you like?
No, I was just gonna say, it would be so fun to have some sort of, like, opportunity for kids to decorate their bikes, to do like a little parade or win an award for the best, most original alternative transportation way of arriving
Ms.
at the
Moore
lake.
is writing this down.
Great.
She's writing it down.
In touch, maybe you might help us lead that, what do you think? Okay.
Yeah,
I
there you
mean-
go. Make another suggestion. I love it when they start suggesting things. All right,
Thank
great.
Great idea.
Roll call vote on allowing this to happen. Ms. Siegel,
Yes.
Bill.
Yep.
Julie,
Yes.
Sir Debbie,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Paul,
Yep.
Steve,
Yes.
Karen, yes. Okay, good. Parks Care and Maintenance, Grove Street and Dewey Park. Mr. Aberdeen, sir.
I have nothing, I left Pat Carroll leave it on just because we're waiting for the public info sessions.
Yeah, I'm curious, where are we with that guy?
Well, we were thinking May 31st to have the meeting.
Can I ask a question? Why are we waiting another 8 weeks?
We can do it earlier, but I'm not available at any day in April from here on out. You
Okay.
can do it earlier. I mean, you can suggest a date.
How about early May? I mean, I think getting input and waiting till the end of May just delays this whole thing
Sure,
for
I
a year.
mean, well,
How about the beginning of May? What's with you guys?
It's just,
May 31st is a terrible day. You know why? It's Memorial Day weekend.
May 10th?
Like 31st of
You want,
Wednesday.
no, it's not. It's a Wednesday. It's not a Monday.
I guess we can do it May 10th. It's a month from now. I mean, do you think that that will be enough time to publicize it on the town's Facebook pages? And we just thought it might be a nice amount of time for us to prepare, you know, and present the committee with other information that we can use to articulate our vision to the public. So,
Okay.
you know, I don't feel like there's a big rush to get this project built. Like not this summer. I feel like this.
No, but my problem is if we wait and we wait, then you're into the next building year. It
Yeah.
ends up delaying things.
Yeah,
But
May
yeah.
10th could work.
We can do May 10th. I mean, I feel like around May 30th would just give us a little bit more breathing room. There's
If
just.
that's
a
what
lot
you
of rush.
want and you're gonna shepherd this, then do it. That's fine. I don't have a
May
problem if
10th
you're
is
gonna
very
shepherd that.
early.
No, I'm saying, if you wanna do May 31st,
Is that Labor Day? Did you say? What is it? Memorial Day?
it's more like
Labor Day is the Monday before.
Labor Day.
Memorial Day. Is what? Is
It's
it
the
29th?
29th. Fine. If that's what you wanna do, get it together. Get your input that what you're gonna try to do, so we can get this advertised through the Facebook page, through the website. And get it out in a press release,
Yeah.
so people know we're gonna do it, where we're gonna do it, how we're gonna do it,
Right.
what your suggestions are gonna be, because we have another. Parks meeting, if you wanna use that as your faux presentation or whiteboard presentation. Run it by us, that's fine.
At May 15th,
Yeah, that
Okay.
gives you.
Yeah.
A month. To get organized, what you
yeah, I
want,
think it's better. It just gives
Okay.
us a little bit more breathing room. It's a really busy
Okay.
time of year.
okay?
Is the target audience the neighbors?
Yes.
I think
I
it should
would
be the
say
whole town.
town. Yeah, I think of the whole town. I don't know, we were just reading an article actually, in, I forgot what journal, but just about how the trend in playgrounds generally right now, how like there's like a lot of risk being built into playgrounds that, you know, there's a real move away from this generic things that we've been seeing in the last decade or two. And so it's become like more of a, you know, a trend in different towns and cities to just kind of build differently. And if we're just talking about the playground, but we want to also build this as
Give me an example of building risk into a playground.
higher slides, not these very safe plastic platform systems, a lot more climbing. Not dangerous, but a little bit more risky and a bit more adventurous and fun. We have definite examples from different places that we've visited, like Boston, and I think that's a perfect example. And
Bring it up, girls, bring it up.
Yeah,
Kind of slides that we grew up on.
yeah,
but
and
those are like
the jump
Metal
gyms and
top.
things like that, but just like different
Or even
materials.
the things that, like, if any of you've been to French Park, they have some nice equipment there, but
Yeah.
it's not like a traditional.
Okay, well, then I would hope that at the next board, at the next commission meeting, you will have photographs that you can show us
We do.
about what you're thinking about, okay?
We
So
do.
we'll be ready to roll and get this input, because
Yeah.
I'm getting nudges from people like, why haven't you done anything? So I'm just
Yeah,
so we have a take on it.
And haven't done anything where, at Grove Street?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like Grove Street is. We are thinking more from Dewey,
Yes.
what could be like a bigger, you
Well,
know,
I'm-
park area, like,
I'm telling you right now, you better understand that the neighbors don't want anything done at Dewey. And the people in Grove Street are clamoring, so you're gonna at least have
what do the people at Grove Street want?
well, I was
I
given
guess that's what the
a
public
design
meeting
of
will-
$200,000 of equipment, so. Which is insane, and it's not gonna happen, but I think that,
we've heard different about the Dewey. We've heard from different neighbors. They're asking us, why isn't there something closer to them on that side? But also, if we're in the Parks Committee, we have, you know, a kind of a mandate to design parks and design spaces that are useful for the entire community.
correct,
I've never seen anybody at Dewey Park, and I don't know, there's not a shade tree there. There's one set of swings. I've never seen a soul there. This could be a hub. And I don't see why we have to, and you. This committee is always saying that these parks and these spaces are for the entire community. And you're listening to a few people around Dewey saying, we don't want anything done. So are we listening to a few people, or are we going to listen to a town
I
and
think
build
that this
something?
public input session should be
Yes.
designed well enough to give us that input.
Yes,
That's what I
this will
think
give
is
us time to
good.
do it
I
well.
have great expectations that we will get that, because I think the whole point is that I know that Grove Street, because the people live there, want certain things. Well, guess what?
Sure.
We're not gonna spend $200,000 on putting in like a playground there.
No,
It ain't happening.
right, and I feel like we should really dedicate and focus our resources and our planning for Dewey and make something good for Grove Street, but it's already an existing park.
Okay.
And there's not a lot that, you
I
know,
think that I hear
we can
you.
design it well too.
I
but we
think
don't
I
have to.
hear you, but I think that you're gonna be ready. Be prepared.
Yeah.
As
But
I
like,
said,
it's like every other
Yes,
neighborhood. Neighborhoods are changing. It could be a whole different group of people.
But even so, we can
than
still provide.
gave the pushback years ago.
We can still
Right.
provide variety. We can
Oh, yeah.
have a central, beautiful, unbelievably spectacular hub. And Grove Street and these other more localized locations can also be nice. But it doesn't have to be that central hub. It could be like in every community
absolutely.
around the world. They have their little neighborhood parks that are.
Well, speaking of which. Have you all gotten up to Lake Mansfield?
Yes,
Have you seen that
yes.
playground? It's beautiful.
Good.
Nicely done, nicely designed. Finally, it works. So as part of what you're talking about. There's something that's happened, that's a destination, a lake.
That's different. I mean, all due respect, it's different because Lake Mansfield is a destination because it is a beach. It is
Yeah.
a very distinct hub. It is, the location itself is a beach. And that, I think the play equipment is secondary to the actual location as a water source.
Okay,
So I think this is. It is
fine. I think that you've got your target date.
Yes,
The next board parks meeting you're gonna present, and then we'll do whatever, once, I'd like to have a more firm date and where, so we can get that publicity out no later than the 25th of
okay.
April.
We don't know how to publicize it. I mean, I don't know the channels here in town hall.
You get it to
that
me and we get it to Amy and it gets on the website and it gets on
way. Okay.
the Facebook page through Ellen Lar. And the other thing is, you two should sign up and show up for one of the chatty Cathys with Jesse Stewart, is that it?
Jesse Stewart. up the
Jesse
radio
Stewart
station,
At
I,
The WSBS.
WSBS.
I don't want to be on the radio.
Okay, well, then somebody's gotta be on the radio to talk to the people.
But isn't that why we're having an input meeting to get?
How do you get people to the input meeting?
That's what you need, to let them know about the input meeting.
Beyond Facebook, is there any other channel and
Yeah,
beyond
you can do
radio?
a press release so that the newsletter, the Edge and the Eagle can publicize it.
Right,
Okay,
you need to get to SBS, you need to get to the PTA,
Newsletter, Eileen Moon's.
Yeah.
Eileen Mooney's newsletter, she's listing right now,
okay.
okay?
That's
So
okay.
there's avenues available.
If anyone could just give us that information, whatever comes to mind,
We just did,
that's all of it.
Eagle,
Okay.
Edge, Mooney's newsletter, SBS,
What is SBS?
WSBS,
It's the radio.
Oh.
the local radio station.
I'm gonna be on SBS, okay. Somebody might be.
Okay,
Does anybody still watch CTSB?
I don't,
I don't get it. I was just wondering, that's another place that
yes,
could probably
community television, the South
Yeah,
Berkshires, they have announcements that they
put
put out,
something on their
it's like a slide.
website.
CTSB, Community Television, South Berkshires, they're based in the league.
Can I ask you another question? What exactly do you want to hear from our community?
I beg your pardon?
What would you like to hear? Like, what kind of input would you like from them?
What kind of input would you like to hear?
I'd like them to say, yes, you have a great idea. To go
That's-
ahead and spend money, but I'm wondering, like, what do we need from them exactly? Like, do we need approval?
No,
No,
Okay.
but it would be nice if you got buy-in.
Like, you're gonna make a presentation to them,
Yes.
your ideas, and
Yes.
probably the better the pictures. And then say, this is our idea, what do you think? And people will say, oh, I think that should go over there, or maybe you should
Okay.
have.
well,
this."
not even that, but the way you can do it a lot of times is you put pictures on the board of stuff you want. And you give everybody 2 or 3 blue dots. And you say, you can put these, what do you like? And that way it's very visual. You can see what seems to be a big hit. That's an
And
easy.
And also, Julie, like thinking about asking the community what we might not be considering
Correct.
Okay.
in the process. Because, you know, if we can share with the community all of the ways we have been thoughtful, the idea is for people who aren't at the table to have these alternative ideas also heard and considered in the big decision making.
Got it. Okay,
Yes. Thank you.
great. New business. Should we schedule some sort of dedication and credit the donors for the Lake Mansfield Park? I can't do anything until I hear from Chris Rembo.
I think you just want us to say, yes, if we can do it, that would be a good idea.
Right, I'm just wondering, is that something we should do?
Sure.
Sure.
If the donors want it, accept it, then we should.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go back to Chris Rambold and say, since he's been the main contact with the Chevals, and ask if that's okay, if we could do that. Okay, I mean, the beach isn't even open yet, so we got time.
Yep.
I mean, it could be like Memorial Day weekend, or, you know, July, whatever. Okay, so I will do that, so I'm gonna make a motion that we do a dedication thing.
Second.
So, okay. Alana,
Yes.
Bill, Julie, Sir Debbie, Terry, Paul.
Yes.
Steve, Karen, yes, okay. Mr. Aberdale, lighting at Olympian Meadows.
Replace those 3 2 banks of lights, 2 lights per pole is $6,800 with LED lights. Of equivalent or larger wattage.
And that would be used by football and soccer.
Right, we can turn them all towards that field.
Yeah,
Okay,
They don't really facilitate baseball.
no, there's not enough light for baseball.
Are there ones, are there like adult, like I've seen those so that it goes in either direction, so it could be for the baseball.
Probably could put 4 on there.
for baseball, you need a lot of lights in all the way around the field.
Yeah, you can't just do
For pop pots and
spotlighting.
stuff, yeah.
Higher.
I mean, I'd love to do it, but it would be a lot of work, a lot of money.
What about if we put another one on the other side? If we put another pole in?
No,
I don't know enough about it. All I know is that if a kid is hit a fly ball and it goes into a dark zone, that's not a good thing.
danger.
You know, you gotta make sure it's consistent
make sure.
lighting. I'm not saying you can't do it, Bill, I just don't know.
Okay.
I think that the lighting for soccer and football is appropriate. I don't think it makes any sense to even start thinking about baseball and putting in more lights and stuff like that.
Sure.
Paul, do you have a problem with that if we do that?
No, I just was wondering, who's paying for the electricity now?
Towns.
We are, so we kind of like took that over.
Kind of like.
Comes out of that Jack, I believe there's a timer in the snack.
Do you know how much it's costing a year to do it? Any idea? No, okay, I mean, just wondering.
Whatever it is costing now, if you go to LED, it's gonna be a lot less.
Okay, great.
Eventually, maybe we could do the ones down at the
Okay.
skate park.
Make a motion to approve.
Yes,
Mr. Meyer,
sure.
Yes, yeah.
Carrie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Karen, yes, Steve,
Yes.
yes, Lonnie, yes. Great.
Yes.
Okay. The next thing on our list, there was a send out of, we've been asked by the Board of Health. And I'm not gonna entertain any comments from the peanut gallery on this. They wanted to maintain and restrict the use of glyphosates on any of the town owner managed lawn. Land, yeah,
Joe, do we use glyphosate now?
no,
No,
This should be a very simple vote.
that's what I mean. I don't think there's a whole lot of discussion or whatever. We don't use Roundup in the town,
Good.
okay?
So I'll make a motion to approve this request to restrict the use of glyphosate
Second.
containing chemicals in town owned or managed land.
And Terry seconds. So Alana,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Julie.
Yes.
So Debbie, Terry.
Yes.
Paul. No? Okay,
Yes,
I'm yes. Everybody's unanimous except Paul is voting no. Okay. Berkshire South, report on Lake Mansfield and Housatonic Park. Who's here from Berkshire South? Mark Del Signore? Yes? Yeah, your hand's up. Where's your face?
I've got my camera going. I think it's. You're gonna have to
Okay.
live. You hear me?
yep,
Yep,
Okay. So. One thing we have been waiting for is, first of all, hello, everyone. Welcome to spring. I'm waiting to get an actual proposal, but Janice, our executive director, has been in contact with Joseph. As she made me aware of today. So I'm unclear, we are unclear just yet how the program is working this year, just for simply lack of information.
what are you unclear about?
Information on the RFP.
there's no RFP. There was, the contract that was issued last year has an allowance to give a 1-year extension. And I approached Janice about that. And she said she may need a small increase on lifeguards' salaries just to attract talent.
Yeah,
And then the report that I redistributed to y'all last month showed Housatonic, not very utilized.
right.
Housatonic, the estimate for FY 24 would be $17,000.
And there's just nobody doing anything.
I would love to see us continue this economy for another year and come up with a marketing plan. Just.
I think that's a good idea. I think probably it was underutilized just due to the fact that it wasn't maybe made really aware to the community that this resource is available. But yes, what Mr. Aberdale was saying in terms of our challenges have been, especially since COVID, finding and hiring lifeguards. And then we've had to really increase our rates to even get people to join and for retention reasons. So the numbers will change. But we will certainly get those numbers to you shortly. As far as I'm concerned, I'm already contacting lifeguards and potential people who will man as someone who's sort of like captaining the beach.
Alana?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I think I just heard $17,000 for Houstonic. There was last year at Lake Mansfield, in addition to the lifeguards, a human at the front counting sometimes, helping manage parking, and mostly picking up goose poop. Was that Berkshire South staffing?
We do count. We do count. We also do pick up poop. So it very likely would have been.
What, but was that the lifeguards, or was that an additional staff person at the front of the?
Yeah, an additional staff person. The lifeguards are required to constantly have their eyes on the water.
Yeah.
Well, Joe?
So what Janice has given me is there's 78 days of service for Lake Mansfield, 2 lifeguards and 1 park attendant.
Yeah.
$22 a day.
Oh, Christ.
So the summer, which is part FY 23 and FY 24, equates to about $49,000.
Bill?
I thought we put the guy counting during COVID to keep a limit on the amount of people in the park, and seeing that is somewhat over. Do we need to do that? Because really, and I go up there quite a bit, I'm not seeing them do much more than sitting there counting. I'm not seeing all that much activity beyond that. And it seems like we could repurpose that money to something else.
Mark? Mr. DeSignore, what do you think about what Mr. Myers just said?
I think that everything is open to discussion as far as we're concerned. The data that we generate from counting helps us just really study usage for our, to feedback for you. But if that's not really necessary, then absolutely not.
Alana?
Yeah, I would love to see better lifeguard coverage, as in you guys not to be stressed in terms of burning out the lifeguards that you have. So I'd love to see maybe a rotation of 3 or 4. I don't know how you do the shifts over the day, but rather than just someone sitting there counting cars and counting people, to me that feels like not an efficient use of our resources.
It has always been, in my experience, a misconception about what a lifeguard does. So what I can do is kind of fill in perhaps some of the gaps. This particular type of job is, believe it or not, kind of tough because it requires them to focus constantly. And so having breaks and rotations, yes, are very good. And we do that. If one were to sit there and watch all day long how they operate, they are really intent on watching people in the water, and you'll often see them standing close to the water's edge or in the water so they can see as far as they can, to be looking for anyone who is accidentally submerged and the lifeguard can't see them. So that is what is being paid for effectively, is that safety measure. Without that, having that available, there's just too much risk involved. The swimmers.
Well, you say in your report that the average number of people in the water is 12.
Right, going anywhere from 12 to, I think, and this was Andrew that up. And I have read it. I'm relatively new to the center, and I can say to you that from what I've found out from both our head lifeguards, that lake duty is certainly quite different than watching a pool.
Oh, God, yes.
Whether there be 12 people in there, or whether there be 24 people in there, or whether there be one person in there, the lifeguard still has the same duty. It might be a little less onerous if there's only one person in the water, because you're basically.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
go with that. We have 2 guards. But what is the point now of having an extra staff person there to do counts? Because my theory would be is that lifeguards, if they're 2, when I was a lifeguard and there were 2 and it was only small people in the water, the lifeguard that wasn't, you don't both watch the water at the same time. There are times that you need both sets of eyes on the water, absolutely.
Yes, that's correct. I don't know how the third person came to be. I
It was
honestly,
COVID.
It was COVID. So
oh,
maybe, yeah,
yeah,
that
let's look.
person was there to count, so we didn't have more than 100 people. So that, I mean, May 11th, that's leaving. The whole COVID thing is being yanked by the state. Yes, Bill?
So as somebody who's been training lifeguards for 30 years and worked on all kinds of beaches. So what you need to do is we open up the beach at either 9 or 10 o'clock. We have 1 or 2 lifeguards on until about 12 o'clock. And at 12 to 3, you could have 3 lifeguards on, because that's the busiest time of the day. And then have 2 lifeguards on at the end of the day.
But except, Bill, that we never open until 11:30.
I know, I'm saying, if we don't have this person counting, it will give us a little more leeway with employees there.
So why couldn't you start with 2 people from 11:30 and then have that swing shift fill in with 3?
Because I've gone up there at 10 o'clock, I've gone up there at 9 o'clock on a hot summer's day, and there are people there. I've often felt it would be great if we could have more lifeguards at earlier in the morning. You know,
And
that-
later. And later in the evening, because the busiest time sometimes is after 5 o'clock.
That's right.
When the lifeguards stand there and blow the whistle and kick everybody out, and then they walk off the beach and everybody goes right back in.
Right.
It's something to be considered, you know.
I understand that, but I also understand that the cost of this, because of keeping guards and stuff like that, it's getting to the point, the cost of having 3 guards. I mean, if it's $600 a day now, we get rid of the counter, that's not gonna drop because the counter is not getting paid anything close. And I think Berkshire South, you should work it out that if you don't have the counter there and you bring extra guards on for that 3-hour thing from 12 to 3 or from 5 to 6, I mean, we're not gonna extend hours. I mean, it's getting, we're going 11:30 to 5. We start doing other sides of this, it's gonna get even worse. Paul?
I'm just wondering, is it possible to find someone who would only work 3 or 4 hours a day?
It's tough.
I mean, it
There are.
seems to be a manpower problem too.
Yeah, I mean, there are people who are, one thing that we're doing at the center is to kind of cultivate people who are semi-retired or retired, who just want to learn a new skill and become a lifeguard, to try to build up basically our stable of lifeguards. This is one of the most difficult staffing areas I've ever experienced in my considerable working life, because of the type of work. Pardon me?
Why? I would prefer that we not have the person that sits at the gate
Right.
and with a clipboard, that's what I saw every time I went by.
Yeah.
And let Berkshire South manage with a sum of money, what is the best way of handling the lifeguard situation
Putting more
to
guards.
cover the maximum number of hours that we can. Like Bill says, as soon as they leave, there's probably 50 people still there.
Well, late at night, yeah, after 5 o'clock.
So I don't know
Yeah.
why, we can't stagger the shift a little bit to have people there. You say earlier, I'd say a little bit later. But I would rather, since we're hiring Berkshire South to manage this, I don't want to micromanage them. I want them to give us the service, the best service they can for the amount of money that we're able to spend, period.
Any other
Yeah.
comments?
One thing I think that would help us is to, or anyone who, is going to look at this in the future, is to establish what do we want the opening hours to be that are protection is provided, that the town is willing to do. So if what you're gonna say to us is, well, we want to have coverage from 10 o'clock in the morning until 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. or whatever you recommend, whatever you're looking for, we will figure out the matrix of how to best cover it. Now, Red Cross says that the maximum number of people that could be under one lifeguards per view is 24. Which to me gets to me, especially in a lake condition, is asking a lot of someone to watch. But those are the
state reg.
No, that is, well, the state
Who
often
came
goes by
up with 24 people?
the Red Cross lifeguard training. They're sort of the gold standard. They're not the only
That's in a
standard.
pool though, not a lake.
Massachusetts.
Oh, yes, it's for lakes too.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It seems like a lot, doesn't it? It doesn't mean that we have to adhere to that. We can add more. Again, what we want to do is provide the layer of safety for the length of time that the town is looking for. And based on how you folks are saying that the actual usage is, we can try to tailor as best as we can. Now, again, it requires us to find human beings who are certified lifeguards on waterfront to be able to get them in there. And they are, I assure you, very far and few between. We have
I know that.
we have a number of them, and
Okay,
So
so
I'm gonna try something. I move that the beach area at Mansfield be officially open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday, 7 days a week.
Can I just ask you a question, Paul?
Hmm.
The budgets are done,
yeah,
so where are we getting the extra?
where are you
money?
gonna get the money? You're extending it by 2.5 hours a day.
I'm assuming that we're not gonna have the park attendant.
Yeah, but the park attendant isn't gonna make up for 2.5 hours of lifeguards per day.
But are we also taking some of the budget from Housatonic, because we haven't resolved that piece either?
Yes.
I would believe, we have not made a decision on whether Housatonic's gonna go or not.
Can I ask a question?
Please.
I'm unclear about what the programming is at Housatonic Park.
Well, I think that that's a fair question. Part of the issue is there has been sort of a summer camp type of thing going on, and it just has not been attended well at all.
I would say we would have Berkshire South come back to us for the May meeting with a proposal to improve what they do up in Housatonic. I don't know, I'm just not ready to close Housatonic if it's not, if there are people who want to use it, but they either don't know about it or it's not a program tailored to what people need.
You know, that argument has been presented, I don't know how many times I've heard that. We don't publicize, how many times are we gonna use that same argument? The kids or the parents aren't sending their kids there. We're spending money foolishly up there. We're not putting our money from the town into the best use. And to continue this for another year, it sounds like to me, the Russian 5-year plan that never ended.
Alana,
And any Russians ever listen.
So I hear both sides, but I think that, some of what we're talking about is sort of like the critical mass of people's lives are at stake at Lake Mansfield, and at Housatonic, it's just, it's programming, and it's appreciated. I mean, as the parent of young children, the idea of having programming for them is very attractive, but it's not the same as making sure that my kids are safe. So in terms of our resources and distributing our resources, if what we're saying is there isn't enough to go around, we have an opportunity to be strategic with how we're using the funds. And I think that both Steve and Paul are correct, that I don't think it's fair to say that we just didn't publicize it well enough. And I also don't think that we need to throw the whole Housatonic situation out with the bathwater, but we need to be more strategic about this. And I have a question about the RFP. Like, is it Berkshire South's part of the responsibility of having the contract to give us an assessment of what could or should be best use of the programming and resources allocated, or is that really our responsibility?
I would suggest that there are conclusions and things that have come up. I would like to see this. This is my suggestion. I would like Berkshire South to come up with an abbreviated plan at Housatonic, 2 or 3 days a week, either mornings or afternoons, scheduled, better marketed. Try that for this year. And any of the extra revenue should be going to Lake Mansfield because it is a safety issue. I understand what Steve's saying. I understand what Paul's saying. What I'm saying is let's have a mid-range. Let's give Berkshire South and say, okay, we spent $17,000, spend half of that. Do a better program Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, or Tuesdays and Thursdays. Come up with a strategic, how we're gonna do something there, and what were the things that worked up there? What were the things that did get people to come?
I remember Alana talking about how they should have a better plan, because no parent really wants twice a week, like for 2 hours a day in the summer when parents are working. Like if they want to take their $18,000 and do a 1 week 9 to 3 summer, like a true summer camp, like so many towns, Lee, Lenox, they all have summer rec run through their community center where they can send their kids 9 to 3. It's camp, it's like highly subsidized. We don't have anything like that.
No, we don't.
So,
But some of the problem is we'd had stuff like that in the past and we didn't have the numbers because other kids were kids were elsewhere.
right, but I don't know that 2 hours here and there.
I don't know if that's right either. What I'm saying is give it to Berkshire South.
But they did that last year, and
What'd they do?
No.
whatever they did wasn't like,
No, I have to correct that. We did not do any programming. The town did not pay for programming. The town paid for us to
With all due
monitor the
respect, the
park.
town didn't pay for you to stand there and watch kids. The town paid for programming.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I
crap.
will look at
That's
that.
really a poor comment, and now I see more than ever why Housatonic didn't work.
Yeah. You'll have to forgive me because I was not involved in this last year.
Okay, well,
I
I
will
hear
own
you
it.
weren't involved, but here's the problem. You better get involved and come back on May 15th with a plan about how, now that I hear what I hear, I understand what Paul's saying, but because you're telling me that you thought the only thing, you weren't hired for programming, you were here for supervision. And that's not the understanding I've had for
Okay.
years. Things
And I
were
could be,
supposed
I
to
could be
happen.
incorrect. I could absolutely be incorrect.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I understand that you weren't here, so what I wanna do is, we're not gonna do anything tonight. You better come back on May 15th after you've talked to your people and figure out, A, what you can do based on the budget that was submitted.
Okay,
Fair?
Yes.
Do you agree with that, Paul?
Yeah,
No, I know, just from experience, that Berkshire South has very nice programming at the center itself, and they are very well publicized. So I don't think this is a matter of publicity. I think it's probably closer to what Sri Devi is saying, is that the programming is either non-existent or it doesn't fit with what people want here in this community.
Well, they're the people we've hired to do it, and what we're doing is we're calling them on the carpet, and we're saying, okay, either come back with a plan to spend the money correctly, so we have some sort of programming available, or we'll close it and put the money for a better use. Yes, Joe?
So my concern, I wasn't here for the bid of FY 23. But there was only one bidder,
Right.
the Lake Mansfield Services. So I don't think we want to come down too hard with a hammer and not have any services up there either,
No, I'm not saying Lake Mansfield. This has nothing to do with Lake Mansfield.
or even Housatonic.
Well, we may not want to have services at
As a
Housatonic,
tonic and take the money and enhance the services at Lake Mansfield.
but many of us have been doing this for way too long.
Oh,
And know that we've had discussions about what kind of programming they're running to attract the most kids. And
For 10 years, we've been talking about.
So the short duration, like in Housatonic, it's not a full day to cover someone's work day. And if you did 2 days a week, full days where people know that their kids would be there all day, don't have to find a home for them for 2 hours in the morning, an hour in the afternoon. It might be more conducive to the younger families.
I think that's what they need to do. They need to do that work.
So, okay, so my direction out of this would be to reach back out to Janice and Mark.
Yeah.
And basically talk about Housatonic and for $17,000, what's your recommendation? How
There we go.
Money the best way?
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
Do you
some
know
of
if
that-
that's, do you know if that's ever been done, Karen? I mean, I unfortunately, I don't know the history, but
yes,
in the
Well,
past.
I can tell you
we-
from the 10 years I've been hanging around here, we have beaten that horse over and over again. The problem is you've had people change, and I would suggest you talk heavily and directly to Janice, who's been there since this all started, and say, the town's not particularly happy because my understanding was different than what they wanted and da-da-da-da-da-da. And they're thinking about dumping the program unless we can come up and prove that it's a good idea and that it's been marketed correctly.
Right. And so you would like us to also include what it would cost for us to market it or the town to market it?
No, you're the ones with the program, the $17,000 that you're paid needs to include getting people to the program.
Okay, I don't know if that was ever articulated, but I'll find out for sure. If
Oh,
we
it
were
was
to
articulated.
market as well.
Oh, no. You're late to the party, my friend. This
I
was
am, I'm telling you
articulated.
that. I am late. to
Okay,
the-
well, I'm reiterating it. It was reiterated and it was iterated and reiterated. Okay. We got a time crunch coming up. All right, so you'll be back on the 15th.
Is that the date of our next meeting? You
Yes.
Decided that already?
It's already on the
Before
thing.
we move on, Karen.
Yeah.
Like Mansfield, we're looking to maintain the same hours or we're looking for Berkshire South to say, hey, look at, for this amount of money, we could staff 2 lifeguards and open it for an 8-hour period. Are we open to,
I'm open to hearing better use of resources, yes. On if it was open earlier, I don't think it has to open much earlier, but it could definitely be open later. That I know, till 6. Especially in these hot,
some lifeguard looking for employment, though, would probably like 8 hours a day, not 6.
of course they would. Well, we're just not in the market about what people want. That's what we need. So I think that's part of the problem. Okay. Anything else on that? Old business, like Mansfield Task Force. Anything?
There's a meeting coming up next
Okay,
week.
great. Railroad Street Youth Project, Regina, what do you got? Not Nan Wiley, down 1.
Yeah.
Everybody.
What do you got, Regina?
So first, I just wanted to give you some context and introduce Molly. She's a new senior mentoring coordinator.
Good.
And she's also on the line now. So I have a couple of different things. So first, I just wanted to say that we did some shifting. So Molly is our new senior mentoring coordinator. So she will be overseeing the group mentoring skate park coordinator, who will be part of the parks and stuff like that. So Molly and the new coordinator will be doing the reports every month. So she'll take over for next month. And then what we have going on, I'm gonna pull up my little list. We have a couple different things. We're doing our interviews for the attendance starting next week. We have a bunch of people who are interested. So one thing that I was thinking about was that we can't hire everybody, so we could think about folks who need to get their certificate for Lake Mansfield. We should talk. Berkshire South, if you're interested. What else? We're gonna introduce a new method and have a half day of orientation for the attendance. We've never done this before. We've just done something at the park, but this time we're gonna do a little bit more intensive, maybe grab like some lunch and then talk about all the different things we talk about every year, right? So parking, different signs, all that different kinds of stuff like that. Bystander training, things like that. And then we are close to hiring the group mentoring skate park coordinator. And we're about to do our third round of interviews. So hopefully we'll have somebody by like mid-May, latest June 1st.
Great,
And that's it from us.
okay. Thank you. You also have an email from Karen Pagoda, and can you let Ann speak? I think it's who I want. I'm just gonna. The pickleball at the Hoosie Dome is working out quite well. I know because I go. We have some thought. Ann, would you unmute her?
I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you want to go over what the letter says?
The letter I don't have, but I just want to thank everybody for opening up Housatonic to pickleball, because being a new member of the community, it's been a great opportunity. There's 3 items I know that the players wanted to suggest to you, is to expand the days. Right now it's Tuesday and Thursday.
No, Tuesday and Friday morning.
Thank you. Tuesday and Friday. There's 2 slots, 9 and 10:30. I think it would be very helpful to expand it at least till Saturday, because many people work and can't do the Tuesday and Thursday. So you're limiting who can play. Also opening it up further to people in the school district, because right now it's just Great Barrington, and also to be allowed to bring a guest. So those are the 3 points that the group of players have suggested, and I'm presenting that to you.
Anybody questions? I go on there both days in the morning. I can give you any background if you want.
So I have a couple comments.
Go ahead.
Saturday, before we commit to it, winter time, it's basketball in there.
We know that.
Yeah, so, and then the other is non-residents, Berkshire Hills residents. If our discussion about, we need to be consistent, if our discussion about soccer and girls softball, which Paul started today, is we're really only worried about residents of Great Barrington, we're not subsidizing other towns. We would be not consistent if we allowed this one to have other towns. So we have to figure out a policy, whichever way we go, and I'm not saying I care, but I just think we have to be consistent.
Anybody else?
Pickleball is a tough one, because it's limited space. You know, it's limited amount of time. So there's a limited resource we're offering. So I think you're right about this, Steve, that consistency is important in this, but because pickleball is such a limited, is a limited option to do it at any given time, to have a space here in Great Barrington, and it's not just for Great Barrington residents, that would be kind of tough. Whereas the soccer, you need 10 guys on a team to play, so it's a little bit, that might be a little bit different. So that's.
I'll tell you, the reason I happen to agree with all these, and I'll tell you why, is number one is there is no other indoor South County for pickleball. And we would definitely take into account, it would be on Sunday, once basketball started, you're done.
Yeah, I just want that clear.
Oh, yeah, that's not a problem. No, the basketball would take precedence over that.
Farmers market.
And the farm, yeah, any of those, and it could be on Sunday too. Because Sunday, nothing's going.
Well, basketball is
Basketball.
all day Sunday.
All this,
I understand that, but not for
Sunday.
7 months a year.
yeah.
No, basically November 1st to
Yeah.
mid-March.
Yeah, so it's. I would not want to impinge on basketball. That's not what this would do. We were thinking, because we don't have that many people, we have plenty of open slots, and it might be nice to open it up to people in the school district. Or if not that, allow people who are residents to bring a guest, whether they be in the school district or not, one guest, they can bring a guest to play, and they'd have to sign a waiver and all that other jazz. Would it be nice to be able to open this up a little bit? because at this point, we're working with the school district. There's a group of us, an advisory group, working with the school district to have pickleball courts at the school on courts 6 and 7. And the lines will be painted, but we'll have to bring in nets, and there's certain times of the day and stuff, and you can't use them when there's tennis matches or Berkshire Hills tennis camp or whatever. We're just trying to figure out a way to be able to use this resource and use it more effectively. That's all.
How many people are physically in this program?
35.
Oh,
Yeah,
and they're all, at this point in time, all residents. of the town.
absolutely, yes.
So if 35 residents, which it wouldn't happen, but if 35 residents each brought one guest, we'd be talking about 70. Would there be,
Yeah, but you can't, first of all, nobody shows up. First of all, there's 2 courts, so there's 8 people can play in a time slot.
okay,
Okay, so, and you rotate in,
okay,
it's all rotational. I mean, you play to 11, then you sit and the winner goes, or you rotate in. I mean, that's the way we've been doing it. It's worked out great. And I played, Tuesday. So,
Karen.
Will it be happening?
yeah, it's easy. It's not hard to handle
So
at
that's
all. Yeah, Alana.
I really like the idea of Great Barrington residents being able to bring a guest. I think that it enhances the Great Barrington experience. And it also speaks to kind of holding the space for Great Barrington, but also expanding the program so that all of the slots are being used and utilized. It sort of creates a prioritization, but rather than an exclusion.
Okay, these all came up. I said, look, put them on a document. Let me take it to Park and Rec. Let's see how it works. And do you have something you want to add?
The only thing I'd like to add is there is a court that is always empty, and it's too bad here. We have this, court that no one's using. So I think that's why we were thinking of opening it up. Even though there's, as you mentioned, 35 people, maybe you have 6 to 8 people at any time on one day. So it's a wasted court that's just sitting there.
Right, I understand that, but I think that any program like this, the better way to do things is little steps at a time. And I'm thinking that maybe what we do is open it up in the summertime or whatever on Saturdays and Sundays, whenever a court monitor, because we use Team Reach. We have a Team Reach sign up thing. And maybe we do that in the sense of we open it up for another 2-hour slot on the weekends when somebody could play. And perhaps the first step would be that Great Barrington residents could bring a guest. That may be a mid-range of the request.
Well, we do a motion?
Yes.
Motion.
I got it.
Okay,
So when you
Second.
sign up for a slot, is it a half-hour slot, an hour slot?
hour and a half slot. If you're playing doubles, it's an hour and a half. But nobody plays, like 6 of us showed up the other day. You don't want to play singles, so you play. So what happens is 4 play and 2 sit out or 2 practice. And then the losers sit down and the winners get on. So you rotate in that way. So you could actually take probably 12 people per thing time too. You could probably do 24 to 30 people in a day. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you don't play. I mean, some are crazy.
I stopped in one day just to watch and was just as confused leaving as when I walked in.
No, it's a lot of fun, and I'd like to
Now,
get other
so
people involved.
Now, we have 2 courts up there, and am I under these? Did it just get stated there only one's getting used every day?
Well, she's been there once or twice. There are times that both courts are used. But the thing is you may have 4 on one court and 2 on another when you could have another 2, so a total of 8. And then if you were doing rotations, like if people are waiting, only play to 9, you could rotate in, so you'd end up with 16 to 25 people that would be actively involved. So what my suggestion here is that we open it up to another time slot and ask them which time slot would be better, Sunday afternoons or whatever. And that we agree to the fact that each Barrington resident can bring a guest, but they have to sign the waiver like everybody else.
Motion.
You
I'll
make that
second it.
motion? Okay, great. Any further discussion? Let's reread the motion. The motion will read that Barrington residents can bring a guest as long as they've signed a waiver, and that additional hours be open at the Hoosie Dome to be decided by Team Reach, the advisory team, but not to ever interfere or usurp basketball.
So,
We should have that in there.
I watched your little head go like that.
Farmers market.
And the farmer's market, right? But they're only there, you know,
They're gone.
they're gone, yeah, it's only,
They'll be back.
We'll be back
okay,
in November.
I'll have a vote on this. Lana,
Yes.
Bill,
yes.
Julie.
Yes.
Sir Debbie, Terry, Paul.
Reluctantly, yes.
Yes.
Karen, yes, it's unanimous, and I'll call everybody and explain what the hell we just did. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's next?
Update
Update on-
Thought you had to go.
I do, I have to be out of here, that's what I want to do, but this is most important. So I think that where we are at Olympian Meadows is where we're at, isn't it? You guys are gonna line it and do it.
It's great. I think it's really wonderful what happened and, you know, we're gonna be I hope that everybody will be respectful of each other down there. I see in the future, we're probably gonna have to think about some kind of a registration thing. for
Well, you
people
need to
using
do a
that.
sign up like we did with the Hoosie Dome.
Well, it's exactly right. Cause
And
that field is gonna quickly become a popular place.
Well, I think what we should do, what I would ask, Bill, if you would work with Carolyn, because we've finally got a calendar that works for the Hoosie Dome. Thank you, Joe Aberdale. And I think we could just replicate it for down there.
I love that. You wanna talk about that?
Yeah,
That's great. I think that's a great idea.
I don't think it's live on the website yet.
No, it's not.
I think we have a system that'll work. It's just using an Outlook calendar.
And so people can come into one of these meetings.
They would come
asking-
here and say,
ask-
we want to use the field to play soccer on Thursday nights from 6 to 9.
And you're gonna
If
be
it-
able to look at the calendar as a committee and say, oh, it's
Yeah.
open.
Good. And if it's an organized group, we're probably gonna have to have insurance from them, right?
My suggestion is that there is no organized group. That everybody signs a waiver.
Perfect. That's great.
So you would set it up like pickleball. Your
Exactly.
Sign of Genius or whatever software
Yeah,
you're using. You know, maybe there's teams.
Yeah.
That, you know, team one takes this slot with team two or whatever.
Yeah.
And you just, when you do your online registration, you sign the waiver.
Yeah, the online waiver thing is now, they've got that working back and forth, so you can do a waiver, you can get it off the internet, sign the waiver and get it back. Yes,
I
Paul?
just want to be sure that since we're talking about waivers and things like that, that it's incumbent upon us to be sure that there are no defects in that field. Else, someone like breaks an ankle, will be talking to lawyers. So we gotta make sure that it's gonna fall in the DPW, that there's a big hole down there or something, they gotta be able to take care of it.
So I guess, you know, when you guys are down there lining it, or you see something that you're concerned about, make sure I know. I think the challenge we have is with the softball field, those bases are set into those square meters in the ground and they set into that. I think we might want to change that.
I agree, they should be movable bases.
This way here, you know, as you guys, you take the bases out, but you don't want that square tube, even though it's below grade and a little full.
Right. Can you plug those? Can you cap those?
Is it just a,
They make the bases with the cleats on them that you can set in.
Oh, well, let's spend the money and do that for safety's sake, okay? Bill, I expect you and Tom to fix that, to get that where we need it together, okay? Thank you.
I have to go to work.
I understand. Citizen, speak. Yes, Vivian. You have 30 seconds.
Thank you. I think I have about 2 minutes, so hopefully we can last that
No,
long.
you don't.
I think the town meeting resolution allows more than 30 seconds for citizens speak, but let's not take the time to discuss that. Let me just get through this quickly because I want to express my appreciation on behalf of the Agricultural Commission. and having the Parks Commission support the Board of Health's efforts to regulate use of glyphosate herbicides on town-owned and managed land. This is important to protect pollinators, soil organisms, water resources, wildlife, and pets, as well as public health. I'm also glad to hear that the DPW superintendent's crews do not use glyphosate in their land management practices. However, there are also contractors paid by the town who are involved in Great Barrington land management. The problem is that the regulations proposed by the Board of Health do not specify the criteria for approving or denying notices of intent to use glyphosate. And these exemptions could permit glyphosate use by contractors. Thus, we were hoping that the Parks Commission would approve the Board of Health regulations, but also include support for the Board of Health to collaborate with the Agricultural Commission on setting conditions for allowing exemptions. Unlike the Parks Commission and some other town boards, the Agricultural Commission is just an advisory commission, and we depend on collaboration with other town boards and committees. So we'll be in touch with more advanced notice concerning any future issues of common concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee speak, Bill,
Good.
Alana? Julie? Sir Debbie? Terry?
The other thing I want to say is, 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, I guess it was a half a day of school. And it did my heart good. I went by the Houstonic playground, no exaggeration. There was probably 50 to 60 kids.
Yeah. Place
Today
was
too.
loaded.
Today too,
Yeah,
half day.
yeah, today was half day. I know I got caught in the traffic jam.
There were a lot of kids.
Steve,
It was nice.
thank you, Parks and Rec Commission, for meeting and doing all this stuff. What?
Don't think it was fun.
I apologize, Mr. Gibbons.
I'm got a lot to say, but you don't have enough time to listen. I'm going to be quiet.
You can call me at home and I'll listen.
Go out for coffee.
Yeah, you can buy coffee. We'll go tomorrow. I got time tomorrow. Coming. Meeting is adjourned. Yes, we have a roll call. Goodbye.